Sure, sure.
Asia, could you just tell us how's the mood at the camp and you guys, how are you feeling?
We feel good. We feel good. The boys have worked hard, and yeah, the last day the guys are spending as much time with family as they can. So some of them are not here; they're coming back later, you know. So and then yeah, we're looking forward to having the lunch with the families, and then leaving this afternoon. And hopefully, see a couple of people sending us off.
Sia, how difficult is it to switch off from the tournament and actually be with family right now? Because I can imagine that's pretty much what all of you guys are at the back of your minds, or even primarily thinking about, but you have to spend the time with family before you leave.
Yeah.
How difficult is that been to just be with family and not think about rugby?
I think it works different for each guy. I think for me, when I'm not with family, I'm only thinking rugby. If you think about the last World Cup, I think I would have struggled if my family wasn't there. I brought them, I think, after the second or third game, and they were with me for the rest of the time. Because when you're at home and you're playing for your club, you are going home every day. So your routine is work and then go home, and then whatever you're going through at training, when you come home, you don't take that with you. When you get to the room, it changes. Your kids sing you, it changes your whole mood. And I think, yeah, it made me so much better when I got home. It made me actually, when I finish training and I get to the room, the kids go mad. They don't care what happened out there. So it helps quite a lot. So it does give us the peace, because every now and then you have to switch off, I think, as a player. But I think right now the guys are enjoying spending the time. But the families help us a lot. And that's why most of us do absolutely everything to try and get them there. So I'll be lucky this year. My family is moving there on the 19th, so I'll be able to see them every week, basically.
Yeah, how different or similar is it to 2019? At this time, 2019, of course, you don't believe that you could win the World Cup, but now you're going as the reigning champions. Totally different target on your back. But how different is it going into the World Cup this time around?
As you said, we're champions now, and the last time we were underdogs. I don't think we're underdogs anymore, but we're also not favorites at the same time. But we, I think we're a little bit more experienced. We know what to expect, and we've walked through the journey with the guys that won. There's a lot of guys who won the World Cup during that time, so there's a whole lot more experience than the last time, and there's more. The guys have grown for us older, and so there's more leadership in the group as well. And the guys that are coming in are not coming in blind. Like, you know, they know they've got people that they can ask. You know, we can talk to guys who have never played it. So I think we're in a little bit of a better place, like mentally as a group, and yeah, just going in with a little bit more confidence than the last time.
Just talking personnel, Sia, I mean, some of the guys that were pivotal in us winning the World Cup 4 years ago are not going to be there. Obviously, Hamza, as well as Lukan. I know this will probably be a typical question that you'll be asked even when you're out in France. Do you guys feel confident in who you have outside of the vice captain and Lukan, who's at the time in the World Cup was probably the best centre in the world? Are you guys paying any mind to that? Are you focusing on it? Are you letting it concern you? Are you letting it consume you that you're not going to have some of the guys that played such a vital role 4 years ago?
Yeah, if we let it concern us and consume us, and that's all that we'll be consuming and focused on, and we won't have time to focus on rugby. Of course, it hurts for us. Like, I'm very close to all of those guys that didn't make it. Like, we were there the last time, Lord, Lucanio, and Andre, and it's tough, and it was hard to celebrate making the squad, you know, knowing that my mates are not there with me. But and we know, like, anything can happen, and we'll definitely, like, I'll miss them. They were good for me as a player, but there's also now other guys who've worked and earned their spot. You also don't want to make it so much about them and forget to celebrate the guys that have made it, who've earned it. I think it's a little bit unfair, but they know how we feel, and they know that if something happens, we will welcome them, and we know what they've done and what they can do, and what, you know. So yeah, we're thinking of them, and they are with us anyway going into this next 2 warm-up games. And you know, rugby is a game of contact, and anything can happen. So you never know. But yeah, we'll definitely miss them, and we just want them to be healthy. That's the most important thing.
What's the objective of the next 2 matches?
To win and find combinations. Yeah, we gotta build momentum, you know. But most importantly, we gotta. I don't know what the coaches are thinking, but we definitely have to find connections going forward, because our biggest game is the first one in the World Cup. Yeah.
How important is the leadership group for you, especially as the captain? How important is it to have the support of the senior guys?
The thing is, everybody is a leader in our team, so there's no specific guys. Obviously, there's a couple of guys that have led the team. We've got a lot of captains who captain the team this year, but each person in the team has a role to play, and there's different parts, like the scrum, the set piece. The scrums is most, every set piece, every part of the game, first of the game, somebody is a leader in there. So everybody has a voice, but sometimes when things are going tough and maybe I don't have the words, those guys are really important who've been leaders in the group, because I'm one that will tell the team if they look at me and like, boys, I don't know, does anybody else have something to say? Because those things happen, and I think that's the strength of the team. I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel I don't know, any sort of way that I don't know something. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. You know, we're all a group of people, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes you're gonna get caught in a moment where you just don't have the words, and then I look at someone else and they have the words. And yeah, there's no ego within our group, and I do enjoy the other leaders in the team for that particular reason.
Sia, just 2 questions from me. I also wanted to ask about the friendlies coming up now. Are you guys still, and you mentioned now, maybe testing a few combinations, so nothing is like setting gold at this stage, still want to see. And I suppose there's some newer players will also fare over there. I suppose that's also part of it.
Yeah, I think it's just to find the best combination, or whoever the coach thinks like this is the team that will maybe give them as much game time as possible.
Yeah.
And then there's guys like me who also need a little bit of game time, because there's been the last 2 games before. I hope I get an opportunity, but I am ready and fit. I can play.
So you are ready? You can. There is a possibility that you can play against Wales.
Yes. I'm available for selection. So yeah.
100%. And I also just want to quickly tell you, as you are getting ready to leave the country, a message for South Africans, maybe from your side.
Actually, this is just to say thank you to all South Africans for just backing us. I mean, to think in 2017, I think, or 2018, where things were really tough and a lot of people were losing hope in our team, and understandably so, because we weren't playing like we always do, and it was a difficult period. But you know, people have stuck with us, and it's been an up and down, and people have stuck with us, and we are so grateful. And we honestly can't do what we do without this people, the people supporting, people coming to the stadium. But also, like, I also want to tell the people, we don't turn a blind eye to the stuff that's happening in our country, but sometimes we have no words to help some of the situations, and we don't want to say stuff that irritate a certain group of people. So we rather do what we know best, and which is to play rugby wherever we can. It always happens when we play in the World Cup, something is happening in the country. And the last one, we saw the gender-based violence and the xenophobia happening at the time, and we couldn't say anything to change the thing, but we played as hard as we could, and we saw those videos that was happening. But every time we played, we saw videos of people coming together. For that moment, we knew that the power that we have, the responsibility and the privilege that we have to play and do what we love, and we can control or help people's emotion, make them feel a little bit better. And yeah, so we do think, and we do feel, and we do see what happens in our country, and we hear the people's cries, but sometimes all we can do is just give our ultimate best on the field to just give them something to smile about. And it's not that when we play and win, it's going to change the situation, but it will inspire someone and put a little bit of hope, because of such a diverse team, we all come from different backgrounds, and at the time that somebody must be feeling down that there's no hope, but they look at someone and say, you know what, he comes from where I come from, I can probably get there no matter how it looks around me. Yeah.
See, on Supersport, when we do build-ups and costs, to speak to those people from the different backgrounds, from grassroots, the Monte, and all of those.
Okay.
For my boy.
For my boy. Okay. Molweni lonke emdini yeah, sawucela ehlobo benisupporta ngalo 2019 niphinde vele lo msebenzi omenza umkhulu kakhulu ngaphandle kosupport kwenu asokwazi umenza, and sidlala nje silapha nje le ndawo sikuyo silapha ngenxa yelento support senu sabantu basendlini, abantu base-South Africa, and abantu abangaqalanga ukubukela irugby namhlanje baninzi abantu abafana nani. Ubuka xa utshintsha iTV usibona pha eTV-ni, uyakwazi ukuthi nami ndiyafuna uba kula ndawo, because ubona umuntu osuka kule ndawo usuka kuyo, umuntu ofana nawe, umuntu enegama elifana nelakho. So and irugby yomuntu wonke, and wamnyama wamhlophe walikhalati uyakwazi udlala irugby, and ngicela niyibukele mhlawumbi endlini kuthiwa sidlala irugby, i-physical too much, no, imandi irugby. And apho ndisuka khona mna eMpuma Koloni irugby inkulu kakhulu, and that's why ndidlala yona ifamily yami nongadlala rugby. So usupport lenu nokuva igwijo nicula ni-celebrate nizidla ngathi ibalulekile kakhulu for thina loo nto leyo singabantu abalapha eSouth Africa. So please ngicela nisibukele nisupporte, and siyanicinga xa sidlalayo.
Can we take one last question and we're going to swap?
Sure. Yeah, you've spoken about how the world champions are not the favorites going into this tournament. Does this World Cup have favorites? Looking at it as a rugby person, looking at the last year, perhaps 18 months of rugby, is there somebody that's going into this World Cup that probably has an edge over everybody else?
No, you can see with how people are, thinking, that voting through all of these things, and like the world #1 team, obviously people are saying Ireland, France, and probably the All Blacks for how they played in the last couple of games, and that's absolutely fine with us. But we also, we went favorites the last time we went as well. So yeah, it's all good. We're looking forward to it. I mean, we've worked hard as a group, and I love how the coaches used the last couple of years to try and build as much squad depth as possible. In the last 10 games, 48 players have been used, and not a lot of the teams have been able to recycle the team or like change, and give opportunities. They've been playing with their best team the whole time. So if something happens in the World Cup, that they have to bring somebody that's at home, we know, like the person will just fit in, like Damien Bellemse happened the last time, and Thomas, I think, that came later. So those things are important, and we're confident, and we're confident in what we've done and what we can do as a group.
Cool. Guys, thank you so much. We're going to switch over now.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Go sing with it.
Okay, guys, you can fire it.
Coach, I asked you the same question. 2019, you guys were underdogs, not really in the running. This year, you might not be favorites, but you are the reigning world champions. The difference in approach to this World Cup?
I think obviously the difference is there's a little bit more expectation, I think if you look at what we did in 2019, in terms of creating squad depth and rotating squads, we did the same as what we did this year, but nobody actually cared in 2019. So I think people are a lot more, which is phenomenal, because people actually, they care and they watch and they support. I mean, I think when we came back 2018, my friends asked me, what am I doing back? Why didn't you stay at Munster? So I think in terms of that, the expectations are there, but and like we all said always, listen, the expectation is not a burden for us. It's an unbelievable privilege. And I must say, in this last send-off week, with the functions that we had, and the messages that people and dignitaries said to the Springboks, yes, it's phenomenal. It gave you a perspective of what people think of the team from a different view. We don't see that. We just internally focus on ourselves. So yeah, we understand these expectations and we full on take it aboard, and it's an unbelievable privilege for us to have that expectation on us.
Coach, 2015 to 2019 was a different kind of period where preparation for that World Cup didn't perhaps go the way it should have. Coach changes and everything that happened in between then, but there's been a great deal of consistency between 2019 and this year. You had a particular goal that you set yourself as a coach, that the Director of Rugby, Rasmus, set himself as well for the next 4 years. Has everything gone according to plan in terms of preparing for this particular type of defense?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mostly. And why mostly? The rotation and the squad development that we did in 2022, we probably would have done in 2020 as well. So if you think about it, win a World Cup 2019, let's create squad depth in 2020, let's perform in 2021 because it's British and Irish Lions. 2022 we have an opportunity to create squad depth again, rotate the players, give different guys opportunities, build different combinations, and then performance against in 2023. So I think we probably lost a year, but 100% for the right reasons. I don't think financially not playing rugby in 2020 was good. I don't think developing our game, like I explained now, and not playing rugby in 2020, I don't think that benefited us. But player welfare, I mean, after the lockdown that we had, and we saw our players returning back into rugby, especially the guys playing in the Northern Hemisphere. Of the 16 players that played in the Northern Hemisphere, we lost 5 players with big injuries within the first 3 or 4 games that they played. So I think from a stance that SA Rugby took, or Saru took, and Rassi and all the leaders, in terms of from a player welfare point of view, it was 100% the correct decision, and I'm actually proud to be part of a team that will financially sacrifice, that will developing the team sacrifice for player welfare. I think it should be like that. So that's why I hope it answers your question. I think mostly, but unfortunately we had that bizarre period in the world that took opportunity away where we would have loved to have a little bit more growth and development and transforming things within the team.
Jacques, I just want to find out if you, as the coaching staff, if you guys are happy with where the players are mentally. And in terms of the pressure that these guys have to face with a World Cup and being defending champions, how do you guys manage that with them?
I think the beauty of this squad, there's positive and negatives to it, but the beauty of this squad, we've got quite an experienced squad. So the majority of them, I don't know the exact numbers out of my head, but I think it's around about 9 players are in their 3rd World Cup. And a World Cup is something to get used to. I know when I went in 2011 to my first World Cup, it shocked me because it's a completely different tournament to anything else. But 2019 was my 2nd World Cup. It was a little bit better, and I knew what to expect. And obviously now you're going into with a good idea. So I think in terms of that, from a mental point of view, there's a couple of young guys. I think probably let's split it. A third are first World Cup. A third have now been at their second, are going to their 2nd one, and a third is going to their 3rd one. So I think the guys who've been there before, from a mental point of view, will give a lot of guidance to the guys, the younger guys coming in. And obviously the negative to the older guys is getting availability and the injuries and stuff like that. And then the positive of the younger guys, that you get this unbelievable energy and excitement, and guys going to a World Cup, you know. So it kind of feeds nicely into the squad, I think, the balance that we have.
Thank you.
Coach, what are the boxes that you'd like to take in these next 2 games? What are some of those negotiables that you have to get out in the games against Wales and New Zealand? And also, do we now start to see your thinking in terms of your preferred 23 going into the World Cup? Is this the time where you give those players the momentum heading into the first game against the Scottish?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the next two games will probably, I won't say there will be not opportunities given. I think if you just look at a guy like Jaden Hendricks, for unfortunate reasons, he hasn't had a game yet, you know. So obviously it would be lovely to get him to get game minutes under the belt. So, but I think there will be less chop and changing and more trying building combinations in the next two games than what we did in the first 4 games. Yeah, definitely.
Coach, you're taking 5 subs or 5 players with the run part of the 33.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's a fully fit 33 that can play if they called on today. Just talk to me about the thought process behind not taking perhaps a Lucanio Arm or 100, depending on how far out he is, with just less than 4 weeks left before the actual start of the World Cup, in the 33 of the World Cup.
Yeah, the thing, I tried to explain it the other day. I think Andre and Lucanio is a little bit different. Lucanio is injured, so that means he can't train. Andre was injured, but he started training with us. He trained. We had 2 training sessions during this last week, and he participated in both, attack and a defense session. The problem with Andre is he's probably the tolerance of training that he can handle. So out of the last 6 years, and I don't want to go too scientific, there's this X amount of preparation a player has to do physically, mentally during a week to perform for a test match on Saturday. And I would say currently a guy like Andre, although he's training with and all that, he's probably tolerating half of it. And you can push him to tolerate 100%, but I just I know the risk then for him getting a re-injury will be big, but Luki is still injured. So so that's the reason why we didn't. Also, when we went to 2011 World Cup, it was the World Cup. The majority of the squad won the World Cup in 2007, but from those players, at some stages in trainings, there was only 17 guys training. The other guys are standing next to the field, nursing a niggle, and that influences your preparation. And sometimes the guys not putting in the work during the week are actually playing on Saturday. I'm not saying that's just how we did it back then. We didn't have as many substitutions as we have now, so there's a lot of reasons why we did it that way. But we just feel that we've learned a couple of lessons out of 2011, and we're trying to not repeat it in 2023.
Coach, Sia made an important point that perhaps the focus should be on the guys that did make the team as opposed to the guys that didn't make the team, because it's almost as if you're taking the shine away from the ones who really did earn their place. Talk to us about those guys that have earned their place, that are going into their first World Cup, like a Jaden Hendricks, for example, who, test match rugby is not something that he's used to as often, as much as everybody else is in that team. Just where are they? And I know the question has been asked, but in terms of just their presence in a Springbok World Cup team, going in there as the defending champions, where are they mentally?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. And you know what, I said it to the print media over there. Can you imagine, everybody's talking about Andre. But what about Damian Willemse and Mani Libo? And since Andre got injured, and again, I don't want to make it a Andre and Mani and Damian Willemse thing. But when Andre got injured in the test match against Australia in Adelaide last year, after that, Damian Willemse played 10 for us the next game in Sydney. It was the first time that South Africa had beaten Australia in Sydney since Ian Mack was the coach. I think it was 29 years. And then from then on out, we've only lost 3 test matches with Mani and Damian. So, and the same with Luet. And again, I'm saying, yes, losing a guy like Luet, I mean, he's played 50, 60 test matches. But since Luet got injured for us on the end of year tour, a guy like Marvin stepped in for him. And the test matches that Marvin was the line-out operator, the guy running the line-out, was Italy. we beat Italy. Then it was England, we beat England. Then it was Australia, we beat Australia. He didn't participate in New Zealand, we lost that one. Then he the 2 Argentinian test matches, he was the guy running the lineouts. And we won both of them. So I think that if you look at it, a guy like Marvin, in the last 5 test matches that he started and had to run the lineouts, we won all 5 of them. I'm not, and again, please don't make it that I'm saying, listen, he's better than Lewis. I'm just saying, I like the way you look at it. You can focus on the guys who didn't make it, but what about the guys who make it? And I feel so sorry for them, you know. If all the talk's about the guys who didn't make it, but the 33 that made it, yes, they worked hard, they sacrificed a lot, their family sacrificed a lot. A guy like Jaden, I mean, what he went through and how he came back and how he's training, it would be lovely to give him a go. I think they're going to learn so much. A guy like Kanan's probably got the, if he doesn't get injured, and I mean, he probably has the ability to be Frans Steyn that has the ability to play 4 World Cups, you know. He's what, 21 years old. And the maturity of him, you know, if you looked at the game he played on the weekend against Argentina, against a very seasoned campaigner in Boffelli, you know, he didn't stand back for those guys. So yeah, no, I'm very excited to see the younger guys and happy for them, you know. They put in a hell of a lot of work to be where they are, and their families, you know, they sacrificed a lot.
Guys, last question, then we need to wrap up.
Just, I guess, if you can do this in English and Afrikaans, Coach, the message to South Africans. You know, there's a lot of expectation. You've said at the start of our chat with you, there's a lot of expectation. But you know, if you're somebody that really understands rugby, you will understand that a Canon Moody, for example, is going in there not knowing exactly what to expect from a Rugby World Cup, because teams perform differently on ordinary test matches than they do in World Cups. Just a message to South Africans who are sitting back and saying that we would like to become the first country to win 4 world titles, and we'd like to join New Zealand in defending the world title. What do you say to them?
Yeah, yes, for the South Africans, I just firstly want to thank all the supporters for allowing us the ability to build squad depth. First of all, and I know sometimes they don't always understand it, in terms of, and it's not nice to go to a test match and you pay all this money to go and you take your whole family and you lose, but be busy with a plan. We were busy with a plan, and things are obviously going to funnel now and get more focused. And then ja, in Afrikaans, yes, ek net sê baie dankie vir die support. Ek bedoel, die mense is nie altyd lekker. Ons het baie veranderinge gemaak in die span en baie chop and change, en ek weet dit is nie altyd lekker as jy gaan na 'n toets toe. Wallis, ons het 18 veranderinge gemaak, ons het 'n klomp ouens kansse gegee daar wat nou die wêreldbeker groep is. En dit is nie lekker om daai toets te verloor nie. En ek dankie vir die verstaan. Ons was besig met 'n long game ook, waar ons probeer wen het aan die ander kant. En hulle moet net ander support. Ons voel hulle support en ons sê altyd, luister hier, dit kan negatief wees, positief. Daar was 'n stadium waar ons teruggekom het van Ierland af waar mense nie eens meer omgegee het om te support nie, weet. En as net lekker, is net lekker as mense ons support, positief of negatief.
Thank you guys, thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.
Julle later van julle.